Hello, Boys Night In Nation, along with Bulls Nation today. Hopefully, a few people on Twitter that have seen this will also be watching. Welcome back to another episode of Boys Night In. I'm your host, Zach Link, and today we have a very special guest, three-time NBA champion and current Chicago Bulls color commentator, Stacey King. Stacey, how are we doing today?
What's going on, Zach?
Not too much, man. I'm just happy I get this opportunity. Thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Really excited. So I'm really excited you guys get to call the first round of the playoffs. Really looking forward to that against the Bucks. Do you have a prediction for how the series goes?
Of course, I want to see the Bulls do well. I want to see them win. They're going up against the defending world champions, so it's not going to be an easy series. And coming in, the last month of the season, they basically limped into the finish line. And so you got to be a realist. They're going to have to play a near perfect game, a near perfect series to have a chance to win.
Sure. So I kind of want to lead with sort of a fun question. Could you describe yourself in 3 words and tell me why you chose those 3 words?
Oh man, you giving me these questions early in the morning. My brain's
I know, I'm scrambling you. I keep you on your toes.
Oh man, 3 words. Oh man, wow. Entertaining, energetic, and easygoing.
3 E's, huh?
Yeah, 3 E's.
Easy.
Yeah, 3 E's. Yeah.
Okay. So I actually watched an interview the other day, and I saw you explaining your pregame ritual in college.
Yeah.
And how that translated to the league once you got in the league. I know the story, but a lot of the listeners are not going to know the story. So do you think you could tell that story for us?
Yeah, sure. When I was at University of Oklahoma, I'm very superstitious. So, I've always been superstitious ever since I was a little kid playing Pop Warner or youth basketball, whatever it is. I always had the same routine, do the same thing every time. And it didn't change when I got to the University of Oklahoma. I was a big Michael Jordan fan in his first couple of years in the NBA and how he just kind of set the league on fire with his exciting play. So my junior and senior year, I'd have a poster of Michael Jordan in my apartment. So when I go to the games, I always had to walk out the door. I always had to make sure that I rubbed the Jordan poster one time. And in my mind, it brought me good luck. And I convinced myself by touching Michael Jordan, it would bring me good luck in the game. And it pretty much did. I mean, I'd have games where I'd score 35, 40 points, huge games. And so I always attributed, because I'm superstitious, is my routine that I did, with the touching of the Jordan poster, certain foods that I eat all the time, certain things that I do before the game. But that poster touching Michael Jordan, I always felt like that gave me the extra power that I needed to succeed at the college level.
So once you got to the NBA, obviously you were drafted first round, 6th pick. What did you do once you got into the league and this pregame ritual? What happened once you got in the league?
Well, it's funny because my teammates at Oklahoma, once I got drafted, they said, "Oh man," he's like, "Man, you don't need your poster anymore. You'll be right next to Michael all the time. So you don't even need your poster." So it'd be like having a horseshoe, in your locker all the time because he'll be there. And the funny thing about getting drafted by the Bulls, I knew a lot about the Bulls before I even went there. Horace Grant's twin brother Harvey played with me at the University of Oklahoma. So we used to watch the Bulls on WGN all the time. So I knew who the Bulls were. I knew, Doug Collins and all the players, Dave Corzine, Paxson. I knew all those guys before I even actually got there. So the draft is a funny story because I wasn't even supposed to get to Chicago. I was supposed to be the number 1 pick in the draft that summer. Sacramento decided to go a different route because they had a former Oklahoma Sooner legend there in Wayman Tisdale, and we kind of both played the same position. So And Wayman was, I think, probably year 4. So they kind of wanted to go for more of a traditional center. So they went after a shot blocking center, Purvis Ellison from Louisville, Never Nervous Purvis. So he ended up going number 1. And then, from number 1 down to 5, I could have went to any one of those numbers, but those teams had already assumed that I was going to be off the board. So they had already made their choices of what they needed for their team. So I wasn't going to go to the Clippers, who were number 2. Number 3, I think, was Miami, who took Glenn Rice. Number 4, who was number 4? I don't remember who number 4 was. Number 5, I don't even remember who number 4. Oh, Charlotte. Charlotte was number 5 because that's where I wanted to go. Charlotte, I wanted to go to Charlotte because I went on a visit there and I really liked it. I really wanted to go there. And so I didn't go number 5, and I fell to 6. And Doug Collins on my visit had told me there's no way in the world, but if you slip to 6, we're going to draft you. And so I was excited about that because I almost went to DePaul out of high school. And I was going to go to DePaul because DePaul was one of my favorite schools growing up, them in North Carolina. And I almost signed with DePaul, but the great Ben Wilson ended up getting murdered on the weekend that I was supposed to come on my visit at Simeon High School. And then my mom basically said, no, you're not going to Chicago. They're killing kids. So she wouldn't let me come. So matter of fact, she made me take them off my list. So I wasn't even able to talk to, I wasn't even able to consider them after that, and I love Coach Ray Meyer. I really wanted to play for him. He was a great coach, great mentor to his players. I really wanted to play with him, and it didn't work out, but I ended up in Chicago in another way. And so again, like I said, Harvey was my teammate. Horace was here, so I knew a little bit about it. I did some things with Michael before the draft, before I was drafted to the Bulls, with his jump man line. And a lot of the top picks, the top 5 or 6 picks, we were part of his jump man line and opening up stores with him and in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I went down there early and met him personally. And I thought that was the coolest thing. Like, oh man, this is the coolest thing. This guy's, he's a superstar, and, we're going to be playing next to him next year, not knowing I was going to be on his team. And then I ended up getting drafted there. And so I was just like, whoa, like, it's crazy. Like, you never know how things are going to work out. Here I am. I don't go to DePaul, which I really wanted to, because my mom didn't want me to go. And then, lo and behold, 4 years later, I ended up being in Chicago anyway by getting drafted by, the Chicago Bulls, which was like a dream come true. I get to play with an idol, guy I idolized, guy who I try to pattern my game after as far as being a scorer in college. And so it was great playing with him. So needless to say, when I got here, I didn't bring my poster with me. I left my poster at Oklahoma because I felt like I didn't need the poster anymore because I got the man right next to me. So our first preseason game, I don't remember who it was against. It might have been against Detroit. He's getting dressed, and I'm sitting on my chair, and he was across from me. This is when we were at the old stadium. So the locker was a lot smaller. You couldn't get probably 20 people in the locker room. That's how small it was compared to the locker room now at the United Center. So he was getting dressed, and so he had his shirt off. He had his North Carolina shorts on. He was getting ready to put his Bulls shorts on, and I was getting ready to walk out to go warm up. So, and he was talking to I think he was talking to like Horace Grant or somebody. So I walked up behind him, and I like kind of rubbed his back. And so at the time, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think it was weird or anything like that. That didn't cross my mind, because I just was like, oh, like just like you would like pat somebody on the head or grab their shoulder. So I didn't think anything of it. And so when I did it, he's like, hey, he jumped. He was startled. He was like, man, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, oh man, I'm rubbing you for good luck, bro. Like, it's not even that kind of party, bro. It's not even that kind of party. I'm just rubbing you because this is what I used to do in college. I used to have a poster. I used to rub the poster. Now you're here, I can rub you. He's oh no, hell no. So he's like, I can't let you rub me, rookie. I can't let you rub me. You can't do that, man. So I was like, all right, man. So I kind of grew out of that. But then I got in my mind that since I'm playing with them and I'm on the same team with them, I don't need the poster. So that aura will still be there. That energy will still be there. And it was. I ended up winning 3 championships, which was awesome.
It all works out, right?
Yeah, it worked out in the end.
I love that story. I think it's just absolutely hilarious. So I want to ask you another question kind of about your playing days, but it also goes into your broadcasting career. I want to know what your favorite game that you ever played in was, and what was your favorite game that you ever broadcasted?
Oh man.
If you have a
favorite pro game or
or I mean any game you played in.
Well, I mean, as a college player, it's a national championship game. An NCAA national championship game. That was the best game I'd ever been in because I always dreamed about playing in the Final Four as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And to have that opportunity, and get a chance to play for a national championship was awesome. We lost, which was heartbreaking. But at the pro level, I would probably say our second championship against Portland in game 6, where we were down, I want to say 15, 16 points going into the fourth quarter, with possibly going into a game 7. I think Phil Jackson, basically kind of threw the white towel in that series, in that game 6 series, based on the fact that Portland was playing really, really well that game. Michael was struggling, having a hard time shooting. We just didn't play well in game 6. And so we found ourselves down by 15, 16 points going into the fourth quarter. Phil tells myself, BJ, Scott Williams, Bobby Hansen, our second group of guys, which, all year long proved that we were better than some of the starters that we played against. Whenever you're going against Michael Jordan in practice, Scottie Pippen every day, Bill Cartwright, Paxson, you're battle tested. You're battle tested because they're arguably the best starting 5 in the NBA. So when you're a young player and you're playing against those type of players every single day, you can't help but have confidence and be better. So when he put us in the game, he just told us to play hard, because we were on the verge of getting blown out in a finals, in game 6. So he knew we would play hard. He knew we would compete. And he just wanted us to cut into the lead and make it respectable, But I don't think he in his wildest dreams, or anybody who was on that bench that night, or even the crowd, really thought that we could come back from that deficit without Michael Jordan being the key factor to it. You know what I'm saying? So, it's always been Michael Jordan bringing them back. But in this situation, in a final series, in a game 6, it wasn't him. It was Scotty, and myself and BJ and Bobby Hansen, Cliff Levingston, Scott Williams. We were the ones who brought us back and put us in position to win, to close that series out. Because we ended up closing that series out in Chicago and winning the title in Chicago that year. And we didn't get to a game 7, because you never know what can happen in a game 7, especially against a team like Portland, who was arguably the second best team the last 2 years of the first 2 years of our title run. They were arguably the best team in the Western Conference. So, we came back and we cut the lead to like 3. And we thought Phil would let us finish the game and get all the glory. But he called Superman, told him to put the cape back on, get out the booth, go bring it home for us. And this is where egos, this is why it's so important that egos, when you're on a championship team, and you're on winning teams, you have to put your egos to the side, because the ultimate goal is winning. You don't care how we win. When you're committed to winning, you don't care whose name is on the marquee. You don't care who gets all the attention. You just want to win. You want to be part of something special. So for the greater good of our team, the organization, for the city of Chicago, you have to put your ego to the side. And, the funny thing about it is, we got more attention from that than I thought. I think if we had not brought him back, I don't think we've gotten as much attention as we did, because even to this day, people will come up to me and go, man, that game 6, you hitting those shots in game 6, man. And all of you guys playing and bringing them back, that was awesome. And, people remember that, so it's awesome. It's awesome for everybody involved. At the end of the day, we won the championship. I don't care how we won. I don't care if I played 1 minute, if I played 30 minutes, we won the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I played basketball in high school. Obviously, it's not the same thing, but I I won Teammate of the Year twice in a row. Just because like I didn't play any meaningful minutes at all. But I love basketball, like, and just being around the team, like knowing your role and doing the best at your role, being the best that you can be at your role is like the biggest thing that I think like you can do. So I definitely,
you definitely have the right, you had the right mindset, because, you know, that's the difference between, you know, teams that win and teams that don't win, is
sure.
that, you know, when teams that win, everybody knows their role. You know, everybody has an importance to the team. You know, there's going to be some guys that have a bigger role than others, but that doesn't mean your role is not as important as his role.
Mm-hmm.
And if you play your role, if everybody plays their role to their best of their abilities, you pretty much are going to be unbeatable, pretty much. So that's how we were in Chicago. You know, everybody on our team came from, they were all Americans in you know, high school, college. You know, I was on the all rookie team my first year. So, and we all had individual success. And, but I think in order for us to win championships and to get over that hump of beating Detroit, we all had to put our egos to the side and for the betterment of the team. And when you do those kind of things, special things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So going into more of the broadcasting side, did you have a mentor when you started broadcasting? And if so, what was the best piece of advice that they gave you?
Well, the as far as mentors are concerned, I think, you know, the people I as a player who I really enjoyed listening to, and I never even thought I was going to get into broadcast. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, I went to school for it, and I mean, journalism and public relations. I mean, I used to write for the school newspaper. I mean, I did all that kind of stuff, and I really liked it. It was challenging, you know, it was fun, and it's funny because my professors would always give me stuff like, you would think they say, all right, Stacey, cover the football team, cover the basketball, cover sports. I would never get to cover sports. I would always have to cover something that I was very uncomfortable with. It could be, you know, it could be a school board meeting. You know, it could be, you know, something with the police department, you know, just all kind of things, you know, speeches, you know, Democratic convention or whatever. It could be any of those things I would be asked to do, which, you know, is not in my wheelhouse. You know, talking basketball is in my wheelhouse, talking sports is my wheelhouse. So I had to get out of my comfort zone and be taught how to do other things and be comfortable doing those things and being confident. So that really helped me out. And I would say my professors at Oklahoma were really my mentors. But as far as like the guy, when I was playing as a college player, I always loved Dick Vitale. And I have a lot of Dick Vitale in me, you know, and it's not copied, it's my personality. And then also that's what I heard coming up. And that's what I liked. I liked the way he called games. I liked the energy. I liked all the sayings that he did. You know, if you catch it, you go back and you listen to early Dick Vitale games, you know, and how he called games at ESPN, you know, the phrases, you know, sensational, scintillating, and all this other stuff. You know, I mean, a lot of my stuff is kind of derived off of that. A lot of my stuff is derived off of street ball talk, being able to talk, you know, street ball. You know, you talk a lot of trash. You know, I used to play the dozens when I was a kid. That's it's probably outdated you, but that's when you go one-on-one against a guy, wordsmith, and you talk about each other's clothes or shoes or the hat they wear, and it's a battle. It's a battle rap basically, but it's about words, and it's how fast you can it's how fast you can deliver it, and how strong you get your point across, because you don't have a lot of time to think about what you're going to say. So like if I was talking about, you know, your hair or something, I can't sit there and go, oh, well, you know, I got to come with it, because if I don't, then my opponent who I'm going against already reeled off 3 to 5 on me before I lost. I can't respond to those. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like tit for tat, tit for tat, tit for tat. So a lot of that comes from that as well. And then another guy I really love as a player, because he was in Minnesota when I got traded to Minnesota, was Kevin Harlan. Yeah. Kevin Harlan is another guy. I love the way he calls games.
Ever, for sure.
Yeah, Kevin Harlan is one of my favorite, you know, one of my favorite play-by-play guys in the league. And he was doing this way back. He was doing this way back before anybody knew who Kevin Harlan was. He was in Minnesota when I was in Minnesota, and Minnesota was an expansion team, basically. When I got to Minnesota, I think they'd been in the league 3 years. So to see him and see how he is today, like I knew he was doing that back then. People see Kevin Harlan now and like, oh wow, it's awesome. He's so great, da da da. He's so energized. His sayings, his phrases. He was doing that way back when I was a young player. So to see Kevin Harlan now and all the accolades that he gets, you know, he does football, you know, he does basketball, college games. I mean, he's awesome. So those two guys, as far as broadcasters and analysts, two guys I emulate. I love Doug Collins. I love Doug Collins as an analyst. He's another guy that I talk to and pick his brain. And, you know, I just love the way he calls games. Like there's no, to me, Doug Collins was the best pro NBA analyst out there. Like there's no comparison. He's on a different level. And, you know, I think right now with Doug, you know, Doug enjoys being a grandparent. You know, his son, Chris, who I've known since he's a little kid, is coaching at Northwestern. So he's enjoying, you know, working with Chris and helping him and being a mentor to him and, you know, spending time with his grandkids. So, you know, who knows, maybe eventually he'll come back into the game. But him, Steve Kerr was very good, you know. So those are kind of guys I liked, you know, that I really love listening to. I don't listen to a lot of guys, to be honest with you, because I feel like I'm more focused on the games. You know, I'm more focused on who we're playing, what's going on, what the situation is. Occasionally I'll listen to the broadcasting, but I really don't a lot. It's funny because people think I listen to it. Like, hey, what do you think about the Charlotte Hornets guys? You know,
Yeah.
You know, the Bulls fans and the Charlotte Hornets fans get into it a lot on Twitter.
We go back and forth on Twitter.
Yeah, there's a major war. There's a major war on Twitter about that.
I think we're winning the war. I think we're winning.
Oh, you know what? Here's the thing about that, though, Zach, is like people, you know, the Bulls have been down for a few years. When the Bulls were in Derrick Rose heyday, when we were winning, you know, I was way out doing this way before anybody else was doing it. Like the catchphrases, the hip hop lingo. I mean, I was in a lane by myself, you know, and now you start to see more and more people doing it, more and more people being themselves, because I think the key to being a good analyst or broadcaster is to be yourself, you know, have a personality. You know, when people listen to me, it's like I'm in your house. You know, it's like I say things that you're thinking. You know, you may add a curse word to it, you know, but I'm pretty much saying or doing things that you would say or do. You know, I'm an extension of the Bulls fan. You know, I'm an extension of Bulls fan. So, you know, I want you to be entertained. I also want you to know that you're talking to someone that knows basketball. I'm not just a comedian. I'll put my basketball IQ up against anybody in the game. TNT, ESPN, local, it doesn't matter. I'll put my basketball acumen up against anybody as far as knowing the game. But I think what separates me from a lot of guys is that my personality. My personality takes me to another level. You know, so you get kind of phases with me. You get the analyst phase that knows basketball. You get the comedy and the entertainment, you know, and you also get a guy that can break things down and explain things to people that may be the novice fan that may not know certain terminologies, because sometimes as an analyst you get too analytical, you know, where the grandma who's sitting at home who wants to watch the game, but doesn't know what the analyst is talking about. Like, hey, I could break things down like this. I could say, okay, the Bulls are going to run, you know, 1-5 pick and roll with a curl, 2-3 catch and shoot. Well, a person who doesn't know basketball terminology is like, what the hell did he just say? You know, grandma's like, I don't know what he said. Turn the TV. So when I break it down and say, you know, the point guard is, you know, going to have a screen with the big man, the 5. He's going to run a pick and roll. We're going to have the shooting guard, which is Zach LaVine. He's going to come off the double screen on the opposite side on a catch and shoot. You see the difference in the explanations?
Yep.
And you can understand it. You can understand it a lot better. And that's always my goal, is to make sure people understand and not try to, you know, be smarter than everybody in the room. That's just me.
No, I 100% agree. I mean, like, I've listened to a lot of broadcasters in my day, and I told you already, like, you're easily my favorite. I like just the way you do it, I just really appreciate the entertainment that you bring to the game. Because not only am I tuning in to watch Chicago Bulls, I'm tuning in to listen to you and Adam. And I think you guys bring a great level of excitement. And like, I feel like I'm there when I'm at home, when I'm in my dorm room. I have one Bulls fan on my hall. I'm in Nebraska. I have one Bulls fan. And like, I feel like I'm there and I'm screaming in my room. People probably hate me for it, but I mean, like, it just really gets me going, and I really like that. So I mean, thank you for that. I really appreciate,
Well,
like,
thanks for being a fan, bro. I
yeah,
appreciate
like,
that.
it's awesome. So last thing, I know I got to let you go here. I want to know, what's the best advice you could give to a person like me trying to get to the place that you're at? What should I do and what should I not do, type thing?
Well, I think the number one key is to be yourself, have your own personality. Because when I first started this, Zach, people were telling me you can't do this, you can't do that, you got to be serious, you gotta be straight laced, you basically can't have personality. Okay, well that's wrong. That's completely wrong. I kind of thrown that out of the blow that out of the water. Have your own personality, know what you're talking about, be well informed. Make sure you do your homework on what you're doing. If you're an analyst or if you're the play-by-play guy, you have to know the teams. You got to know. See, college is different than the pro game. College is different than pro game because you have to know so much more in college because the changeover. The kid's only there 1 year, 2 years. Okay, so in a college kid, you got to know the high school he went to, who his high school coach was, who his AAU coach was. What was his brothers and sisters? Did they play sport? I mean, you got to know all this intel about a kid that, depending on if you're on the national level, you may only see once. So you're doing that for every game that you do. You got to know who the best players are. You got to know where they came from, what their stories are, the backstories. The difference in the NBA is that these guys are there for long periods of time. You know what I'm saying? The only difference is they may sign with a different team, but they're not leaving and not coming back. You know what I'm saying? LeBron James is going to be there for 16, 17 years, right, as you can see. DeMar DeRozan, I think, is his 11th year, So these guys are here long term. So you see them for 11 years. You know about them. You have your notes on them. You know what they like to do, what their strengths and weaknesses are. So it's a much easier for pro guys to call pro players than it is. I give the college guys a lot of credit, man. So because I did it. I called the Big 12. So I know how hard it is for the college game, right. And then the college game, you have no allegiance to those teams. Like the Bulls, I played for the Bulls. So, I've been in this organization almost 30 years. So I am familiar with this whole organization from top to bottom. So I know a lot about this team inside and outside. So for when I talk about this team, I can confidently say what I have to say. So I would just say, be prepared, be yourself, create your own lane. Don't get discouraged because you have to start at a certain place. You know what I'm saying? Like what I mean by that is, you got to crawl before you walk. Everybody wants to get to a national level type of thing. They want to call national games. Well, to get to the national level, you got to call other things. You may be specializing in basketball, but just to get the work in and get experience on the mic, you might have to call a soccer game. You might have to call minor league baseball game, just to get the experience behind the mic. And that's what I would tell young aspiring, broadcasters or analysts, man, do as many things as you can, because the more versatile you are, the more people will want you. If you just pigeonhole yourself into, I'm just a basketball guy, okay? Yeah. Well, there's a million basketball guys, okay? But if Zach can do baseball, soccer, he can do UFC, he can do football, you're much more valuable now, because they say, oh, wait a minute, we don't have anything in basketball right now, but we got a job in football. And then so you got the football gig, and now you're working your way up into football, and then all of a sudden, they like you. They go, man, Zach is awesome. He calls a game with energy, passion, knows his stuff. We got a basketball opening now. Zach, you want to do this basketball? You want to do both? All of a sudden now you done parlayed calling arena football games to NFL games. Now you're in the NBA. So you don't turn down any opportunities that's given to you. Like if you had to call a high school game right now, I would say go call a high school game. Nothing is beneath you. Not when you don't have anything, because a bird in the hand beats two in the bush. That's my philosophy.
No,
and any experience is good experience. So you're not getting any experience, Zach, if you're sitting on your ass, right?
True that.
But you're gaining valuable experience if you're actually going out there and you're putting in the work, you're grinding. It's like a baseball. I attribute it to baseball. There's certain guys that want to hit home runs all the time. That's all they hit 35 home runs, but their batting average is 220. Okay. And they never can hit the big home run when the game matters, because it's like, kind of like Sammy Sosa. Sammy Sosa, the Cubs is down 10 runs. He go out and hit 4 home runs. The Cubs lose 10-4. Okay. Yeah. But then when the Cubs it's a 1-run game, 2-zip, and the bases are loaded, and we need Sammy, our home run hitter, who's got 35 home runs to come deliver for us. He strikes out.
Yeah.
The whiff. He's down. 4 strikeouts that day. We lose. Okay. Well, I attribute the same to mindset. You have to have a killer mindset. You have to be willing to do whatever you need to do to become better. You have to crawl before you walk, because you don't come out as a baby and jump out when they pull you out from your mom, jump out of the table and say, hey, got milk? No, you don't do that. They hold you, they spank your butt, they give it to your mom, they clean you off, boom, boom. There's stages and levels to everything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you don't skip things. So when you have an opportunity to work and hone your craft, like for me, for instance, I didn't just jump to the pro game. Like when I got done coaching in the CBA, yep. Which that also helped me out with my analyst job. And I knew that was going to happen too. Because that really gives me 2 perspectives as an analyst, as a coach, and as a player. So that really helped me out.
And you made it to the championship.
Huh?
You guys made it to the championship in 2002.
We made it to the championship game, the Rockford Lightning, baby. Yep. I took us to the championship game, baby. I won 71% of my games. I was like the Phil Jackson of the CBA.
Greatest.
We almost won. We almost won, Zach. We almost won. We came up short, baby. We came up short. I could taste the championship. It was right there.
You almost got to kiss the trophy.
Baby, I was so close to it. But I learned so much as a coach, and just the experience alone helped me in my broadcasting, because I can see the point of view of a coach, and I can see the point of view as a player and what the players are thinking, because I've been in those situations. I've been in the locker room. I've been on the sideline in crunch situations. I understand what it's like to be a player in that. And I also have coached in those situations, knowing what you're going to do in a timeout, coming out of the timeout down 1 point with the ball in 6 seconds. I know all those things. So, and you put that into what I do as a broadcaster, with the energy and the knowledge, and then also the entertainment side of it, you got a whole different thing. But my point where I was getting to is that, when I got done with the coaching, I jumped straight to, pre and post game. The Bulls had just started pre and post game for the first time with Comcast. So I started that, and then I parlayed that into college games, because my ultimate goal was to call NBA games. That was my ultimate goal. So in order to get to that point, I had to show the people that I worked with that I could do that. So I had to drop down and go to ESPN. I worked for ESPN for a couple of years calling Big 12 games. So I started in the studio in ESPN. They saw that I could do it. They put me on, and next thing you know, the rest was history. I ended up being a Big 12 analyst, and then that parlayed the job when Johnny Red Kerr was getting older and was ready to retire. That parlayed me into the Bulls job. So I've been doing that now 16 years. So, and at some point, like I said, I had to crawl before I walk. I've been very blessed to be in the same organization for almost 30 years, and then also be in a big city, because a lot of times when you first start off in this game, you have to work your way up to get to the New Yorks, the Chicagos, the Los Angeleses, the big city places, with the bigger markets. I was very blessed and lucky, man, being in the right place at the right time. And, I owe a lot to Jerry Krause. Jerry Krause was the one who basically, Jerry Krause and Steve Shanwald, and then, Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner of the Bulls, those guys really had a lot of confidence in me, thought I would be good at it. Joe Riley at Comcast, you know, he was another big backer of me. Tom Stahakis, who they're both with the Golf Channel now. Those guys believed in me and gave me the opportunity, and I just ran with it. Because once you get that opportunity, you know, you don't get a lot of chances. You know, you don't want to mess up, so you gotta make sure, you know, after you've crawled and now it's time to walk. Now you get to that door, you don't let that spot go, man. Because you know, in this job, if you look at the NBA, you know, guys had these jobs, like the actual play-by-play guys have this job 30, 40 years. You know, they pretty much they pretty much can be on there as long as they want to. The analysts, you know, they be on there 20, 25 years. Most of those guys are ex-players. So you're talking about, you know, a 10-year basketball career plus, you know, 16 as an analyst for the Bulls. That's 26 years I've been in the NBA in some capacity. That's a long, long time, you know. So any young kid coming up, you know, they're gonna, you know, it's really important that they get as much experience like yourself, like, you know, you're doing your podcast. This is huge because, you know, one thing that this podcast is doing for you is it's giving you a platform to also work on your interview skills. You know, being able to, you know, have a guest on like myself or whoever comes on, and you'd be able to sit down and talk to them and ask them a million questions. And you're honing your interview skills because, you know, you're going to need that. That's a valuable thing to put in your pocket because, you know, let's just say, for instance, in 10 years, you know, you're really good at doing this. All of a sudden now you got working at a radio station. You're a radio host, you know, so there's so many different things that this branches off to, Zach. It's not just one thing or the other. There's so many branches to the tree that you can go to and that you can different directions that you can go to and be successful. I mean, if being a play-by-play guy is not in the cards, there's a whole bunch of other things that are, because the podcast, as you know, because I have a podcast too.
Yeah.
The podcast is the way of the future. It's pretty much going to take over here. It's pretty much taking over now, but it's pretty much going to take over the future, and that's going to be pretty much how things are going to be communicated with people as far as, you know, sports talk, cooking. You know, you just pop in someone's podcast while you're working out. You know, you can hear. Just like reading books. People don't read books anymore. They get the audio books.
Yep.
You know, so everything is becoming, you know, audio digital. So that's why it's important that you. That's why I wanted to come on. You know, because, you know, one, you hounded me. Two,
I got everyone on you. All of this nation is coming for you.
Dude, there was like 100 people tweet me. Hey,
I had to do what I had to do.
Oh man, I tell you what, you're persistent, man. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm talking about right there. Being persistent, you know, like putting the work in, putting the time and energy in. That's why I respect that. That's why I came on. I don't do a lot of podcasts, but I felt like you deserved one because the way how hard you pursued me and tried to get me on. So I was like, I gotta get this kid. I gotta get this kid a shot, man. He's busting his ass trying to get me. So I was happy to come on and do your show, bro.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Stacey. Really means a lot for you coming on. And Boys Night In viewers, thank you so much. If you made it to the end, comment a animal emoji and you can enter the raffle for a $5 gift card for Taco Bell. Thank you guys so much and see you later. Boys Night In out.